Hello, my beautiful souls. This is Selena with Essence of the Moon, and I'm inviting you to join a deeply rooted video response. My first composed VR. Ancestral Roots is a journey into the cards, stories, and sacred connections that tether us to those who came before. Whether you're guided by blood, bone, spirit, or memory, this is a space to honor the seen and the unseen hands that help shape your path. This VR invites you to explore the decks that help you connect with your ancestors, heritage, bloodlines, and spiritual lineage. Whether you work with known ancestors, cultural memory, or spirit allies, share the tools that help you listen, remember, and honor them. Today I'll be sharing the decks that speak to my lineage and how I use divination to deepen this sacred ancestral work. Okay, thank you for sticking around as I light some candles here for my ancestors. Using this time to remember them as I just made them coffee this morning. Something I do every single day to help stay connected with them and to just tell them that, hey, let's have a cup of coffee together. So here's my cup. Grab your drink, grab your decks and your journals, and let's get started on this prompts. So I have 10 prompts. Please feel free to answer all, mix and match, or choose the ones that resonate most with you. You can also use multiple decks or reuse the same decks for the prompts. There are absolutely no rules. So I'm going to share the 10 prompts, and then I'm going to go through and give you my responses to those. So number 1 is a deck that connects you to your bloodline or family history. Number 2, a deck that channels messages from ancestors or guides. Number 3, a deck you use during Samhain, Day of the Dead, or ancestral altars. Number 4, a deck you use for healing generational trauma or cycles. Number 5, a deck that helped you understand your soul lineage. Number 6, a deck you inherited, were gifted, or feel was meant for you. Number 7, a deck that represents your cultural roots or ancestral land. Number 8, a deck that calls in wisdom of the grandmothers or elders. And number 10, what does ancestral work mean to you and how do your cards support it? Okay, prompt number 1, a deck that connects you to your bloodline or family history. So my bloodline, first of all, before I go into that, this doily, I want to point out, was made by my grandmother. She was going blind or losing her eyesight before she passed away a day before Halloween. And there's a couple of her doilies that have actually her hair woven into it because she was losing her eyesight, did not realize that some of her hair was falling and getting mixed in with the yarn here. So to me, these are very special. These permanently sit on my altar. This one as well, there has personal trinkets inside, jewelry that was gifted to me by my grandparents, my mother, my father. So all of that has meaning to me and sits on my altar. As well as these little guys right here. They also sit on my altar, as well as the flowers, which are called campisuchi or marigolds. Some people call them calendula. Different names for them. So, okay, prompt number 1, a deck that connects you to your bloodline or family history. And if you could not guess with all of that you just saw, It is Dia de los Muertos Oracle. This deck to me is extremely special. I know I've shown it already several times in recent VRs, and I'm sorry guys, I'm going to show it again because that's how much this means to me. So that's weird. The last VR, Copal was the one, and I did a bibliomancy and that came out. How funny is that? Okay. A deck that connects you to your bloodline or family history. Hands down, Dia de los Muertos. This deck is the epitome of Dia de los Muertos in my family, what it means to me, and the images absolutely resonate with stuff that I saw growing up. Esqueleto, skeleton. Papel picado, paper mache. Veladora, candle. Dulces, candy. Mariachis, mariachi. Cuatro elementos, 4 elements. Bebida, drinks. Cruz, cross. La Llorona, fiesta. Camino, which is road. Here we go. Cempasúchil, Los Santos, the saints. And ofrenda, which is your altar. This deck is literally the epitome of my bloodline, my family history. This brings back so many memories and stuff that I continue to this day doing to honor them. So that's Dia de los Muertos. The next prompt is a deck that channels messages from ancestors or guides. So I have a couple of them. So again, there's no rules. You can do as many as you need. I have a couple that actually go well with this. So Santa Muerte by Fabio Lestrani and Unfinished Business by MJ. Both of these decks channel incredible messages, either from my ancestors or those that I'm doing readings for. That's just how great these are. To us, to Mexicans, death is not the ending. That's my dad, the Emperor card. Death is a beginning to a new chapter, starting all over again. Trying to, look at the Hermit card, isn't that cool? Trying to make right and learn from whatever mistakes you did in that life. You'll have a new chance once you're reincarnated again. And you tend to see things differently. Look at the Hierophant card with the Ouija board. You tend to see things differently as well. And I'm happy that I was actually raised with these beliefs. That death is not finale. We still get to see them again. And we will get to see them again in the afterlife. When they come and visit during Dia de los Muertos. For me, I feel they visit every day. That's just because that's the type of relationship I now have with them. And I sense them here every single day. Every single day I feel their presence, especially my grandmother who made this. And my father. I was very, very close to them. And I feel them and their presence. I smell them. My dad's cologne. I sense my grandmother's touch. When I'm talking to my mom, I feel like I'm being crowded, and that's because I feel that my grandmother is up against my ear trying to listen to what my mom's saying. It's actually kind of funny. First time that happened, I'm like, what's going on? I feel like I'm being crowded. I was talking to my sister. I'm like, hold on, let me take off my AirPods because I just feel like I can't hear properly. And she goes, good, because you sound very muffled and you sound like almost like robotic-y. And I took off my AirPods and she's like, okay, good, I can hear you now. And I said, I felt like I was being like, you know, when someone's over your shoulder reading, look at the moon card. When someone's reading over your shoulder, and that's what I felt like my grandmother was doing. It's the cutest thing. I love her. That's my mom's mom. Yeah. So this is another deck that gets really good messages for when I'm doing readings for other people, ancestral readings. Okay, prompt number 3. A deck you use during Samhain, Day of the Dead, or Ancestral Altar. And that is, hands down, the Halloween Oracle. I actually use Dia de los Muertos as well, but I use both of these. These are both really good decks to use when trying to communicate with your family. And here we go. Ancestors. Every time I get this card, I literally get chills all over my body. It's like they remind me, hello, Selena, we're here. And I know they are. Like I said, I make coffee for them every morning. I say good morning to them. I give them fresh water. I tell them anything important that I'm going to be doing that day. Like for my lives, I let them know, hey, I have lives coming up. Can you guys help guide my live? I'd appreciate it. And they always do. I include them in everything that I'm doing, and I think they appreciate that, as if, you know, it makes me feel like they're just sitting there with me in the living room, listening while I'm doing the live, help guiding my hands. The veil. Yeah. The underworld. I mean, this is a beautiful deck. Look at the cauldron. Synergy and healing. And let's end it with eternal love. Love is love is love. And it transcends physical death. It truly does. Just because they passed away does not mean that they are gone forever. That is something that I firmly believe in, and am super thankful that I have that belief in them, you know? Okay, the next prompt. A deck you use for healing generational trauma or cycles. So I had a hard time. I actually did have a hard time with this one. There was a couple of them that came up for this prompt, and I think depending on where my life is at that moment, I'll use a specific deck, and depending what I'm dealing with, I might use something else. So I'm going to show you 2 decks. The first one is Earth and Bone, Oracle, honor the concepts of rebirth and transformation. And the next deck is Inner Child Oracle. So, generational trauma. Is a tough one to swallow. You feel like, why am I the one being punished? You know, when I'm not the one that did that. But look at that with the butterfly. Every time I look at butterflies, I think of them. It's time to connect with your inner child. Every time I think about these traumas that we have to heal, using forgiveness, using love, I feel like it chips away bits and pieces of that and like kind of pulls out the stained, bruised parts of your soul. That's the way I see it. When I physically am doing some type of healing work, that's what I visualize, and that's what I see is it's like you're plucking out the weeds of your soul. That's what that means to me. And isn't that pretty? There's a dragonfly up here. You can do hard things. It is not as impossible as it may feel. Speak to yourself with kindness. I mean, this is a really good deck. Let it go. Emotions are the reflection. You deserve to be seen. So there's so many things in this deck right here that helps you heal that inner child, that trauma, and I appreciate it. The second one, Earth and Bone Oracle. This one is from Syrian Shadow, and it's actually a really good deck. It has some profound messages in the guidebook. Look at that teal gilding. Nest, charity, generosity, gratitude, beast, conflict, competition, oppression, or oppressors, serpent, rebirth, unconventionality, non-conformity, conjurer, higher self, fertility, creativity. Here's a warrior, the key, inner calling, clarity, intention. Oh, this one's my favorite. Roots, ancestral, legacy, tradition. It's one of my favorite cards in that deck. Anytime I see any type of ancestral card come up, I literally get chills. It's like they're giving me a little pat on the back, a little hug. So that is for prompt number 4, a deck you use for generational healing, trauma, or cycles. Really good decks, guys. Okay, prompt number 5, a deck that helped you understand your soul lineage. And I actually have 2 of them for this one. So, first one would be no surprise. Santa Muerte Oracle, again by Fabio Lestrani. His work is phenomenal with any type of, what's the word I want to use? When it comes to different different cultures. He's really good. Like he did a voodoo one, which was really good as well. So here you see the ofrenda, and that looks like the god of the underworld visiting. So a lot of these images deeply remind me of Mexico. If you didn't know, that's where my family's from. They're from Jalisco, which is where tequila comes from. Also, mariachi music comes from there. There's so many different nationalities mixed in there. You see people of all different colors, different skin tones, different hair color, different eye color. For example, my family, my dad's side of the family, had very fair skin, blue eyes, green eyes, or gray eyes, and dirty blonde hair. Some had a little bit of red in their hair, like a strawberry blonde. And the first time I met them and I like understood like my color was different, I was like, that's my family. So I'm not super dark myself. This is a really good card. There's 3 arrows: future, present, and past. And death has already come for him, and he's going on to his future, his next life. And it looks like he has a smile on his face. He's taking some of the stuff that he's learned on this life, like being a musician. So things you have learned in your past lives are still with you. They're still genetically encoded in you. So if you were a witch and you were really good at potion making or herbs or planting, that stuff is still in you. It's up to you to pull that out from your DNA and learn to use it. Remember and help remember who you are. You know, it's all super important work. At least to me it is. So, but yeah, I'm darker because of my mom. She's darker. She has brown hair, brown eyes, brown skin. And most of us, although all my siblings were all different shades of brown, some are very dark and some are very light. So I think it's kind of funny how genetics play a part in that. And the next deck is the Rooted Woman. So this is a Scottish, English, European deck. And the reason I'm pulling this one out is because I'm sure you guys have heard, I went to Scotland and England last year. I was there for 2 weeks. And I left here as Selena and came back as Essence of the Moon. The journey that happened in those 2 weeks was extremely profound. I got that call to remember who I am. And since then, I did do a past life regression, and I did have a life in Scotland. It was what you would call a vacation life, meaning I was very happy. I lived for a long time. My life was perfect. I had no problems. I had no issues. My health was good. My family was good. Like that's like your vacation life that every once in a while you get. So when I was there, I literally felt like I was floating in time. I'm like getting worked up right now thinking about the memories that I had when I was there, and the feelings were so deep and extremely rooted. Isle of Women. And where it started was at the Isle of Iona in Scotland. It was in Glasgow as well. That's where I landed. I started to feel the connection, but once I got to the Isle of Iona and we were driving through the Isle of Mull to get there, from Oban, it was just a phenomenal experience. I felt like I was floating. It was such a liminal space for me. And I had so many different experiences there that were not from this timeline. So that is why I pulled out the Rooted Woman Oracle and why I had to buy this deck when I first saw that. It was an instant remembrance of Scotland and what that place means to me. Okay, the next prompt is a deck you inherited, were gifted, or feel was meant for you. I'm going to say this one. It came to me from my brother Ramon at Moon Scarab. We have him and I and Bobby from Wild Raven Tarot have a show every Thursday, and we have connected, the 3 of us, and we know we had past lives together. It is the wildest thing that we experience every time we are together. It's extremely odd. So the reason this deck means so much to me is because my great-grandmother used a very similar deck for her divination. And I actually grew up learning this deck. My mom and my family, when they would have card night, this is a deck that was pulled out. A similar one, not this exact one obviously, but a similar one with these same images. And this is the, it's called a Baraja Gitana. And this deck reminds me so much of my dad playing. There was a game we would play called Conquian. And it's similar to, the game is very similar to, I think it's blackjack. It's very similar to blackjack, I think. I'm trying to remember. I haven't played it in forever. But my great-grandmother would use a very similar deck when she was reading and doing her divination back in the early 1920s, 1930s in Mexico. I was with my mom not too long ago, and she saw this deck, and I was doing a reading for her, not using this deck, a different deck. And she's like, I just had a deja vu. I'm looking at you, but I see my grandmother. She said, you are so much like her. Her name was Concepcion, Conception, and she was my mom's grandmother. But yeah, this deck was gifted to me. Also, was meant for me because of the memories and the associations that come with playing this deck with my family. So thank you, Ramon. You always seem to know the exact perfect things to gift. Your intuition is extremely spot on. Okay, number 7, a deck that represents your cultural roots or ancestral land. So I just got this deck and I backed it in February. And the moment I saw it back in February, I knew that I had to have this deck. So I just did an unboxing. It's the Graveyard Oracle by Michelle Castro. I did edge it. I wasn't edged in that video that I did. Rochelle has shown me what markers to use, and now this is my second edge deck. She'd be very proud. Rochelle, if you're watching, I know you're proud of me. Okay, so a deck that represents your cultural roots or ancestral land. And it has to do with the cemeteries. And the messages the dead give you. I think this is a really cute deck. It's not as serious as other ones. And the reading I did on myself with this deck in that video was really good. Remember the dead. So this deck reminds me that death is not the ending. And it's like giving you messages from the tomb, from your ancestors. It's like your grandmother's telling you, don't fear the ending. Selena, don't fear it. Or my grandfather, Gavino, my dad's dad, tell your story while you can. And then he'll say mija, which is my daughter, in the slang term. Enjoy the little moments. You can't take the physical to the afterlife. In other words, you'll never see a U-Haul following a hearse. So, although I just got this one in my collection literally this week, when I backed it in February and saw all the messages, I knew that it was meant for me. the ghosts are watching. Isn't that lovely? So that is the Graveyard Oracle. It's on her Etsy. It is available now, so you can pick it up on her Etsy, as well as she has other cute stuff on there. Yeah, very cute. Okay, prompt number 8. A card that has become a personal symbol of your lineage. And I'm going to pull out Dia de los Muertos again. And I'm going to find the one card in here that has become a personal symbol. I'm going to say it's actually this whole deck. It really is this whole deck that represents my lineage. I mean, not a single card in here. This card, Ancestors. That is a card. They're there praying and they're watching over you. They're listening to your prayers. They're going to help you. Either by guidance, putting the right people in your path to help open up your road. That is my one card that has become a personal symbol of my lineage. It's my ancestors. So yeah, such a wonderful, wonderful deck. Okay, number 9. A deck that calls in the wisdom of the grandmothers or elders. So again, I have a couple that I use for that. And so it's one of these that's in to make playing card. And you guys have seen me pull this one out. It is a happy skeleton deck. This calls in wisdom of my grandmothers and elders, only because it's so stinking cute. And my grandmother was so stinking cute. She was so tiny, maybe not even 5 feet. She had to have been like 4'11". And I think she would like this deck because it's so happy. She would be really happy with this deck. And she would be like, oh, mija, ay, qué bonito. Which I just said, oh, my daughter, that's so pretty. And that was my grandmother. Who I miss so dearly. Yeah. So this is a deck that calls in the wisdom of the grandmothers or elders. And the other one is, you guys have seen this one, of course, the one that I made, which I'm still adding on to and working on and refining for the altar. That's my dad's sister. That's my guide, Simeon. My uncle, my tío Jose Luis. Natividad Gutierrez, another family member. Christine is a guide. Jorge is a guide. Bartholomew is my guide. Jezebel is a guide. Sigmund, also a guide. Celeste, council member. My members. That's my dad's parents. Catalina and Gabino. They're the ones that were very light-skinned. Right here, they look dark, but it's because it's in black and white. But they had very, very light brown hair. That's my mom's dad. I never met him. He passed away when my mom was like 9 years old, I think. And these are our Newfies that we lost. That's Berna. She was a brown Newfie. Gunnar was a black. And Murray was a Lancier Newfie. Black and white. That's my dad. And that is my abuelita Elisa, who loved roses, had the most beautiful rose garden ever. And she'd always pick flowers, have fresh flowers inside the house. It was just beautiful, magical. her garden always looks so beautiful. And this is her doilies. I have been many of her doilies and cross-stitch items that she's made. Okay, so what does ancestral work mean to you? And how do your cards support it? Wow. So ancestral work to me is my daily life. If you physically saw what your family, your ancestors had to go through, war, famine, disease, the Great Depression, all the different wars, and you saw what they had to go through for you to be here, what they had to survive. It's pretty incredible. It tells me, like I did in one of my showed you in my graveyard oracle deck, that do not waste your life. They would want you to live it. They would want you to be happy, regardless what the circumstances are, regardless with whatever it is that you're dealing with. They would want you to be happy and make the best of every situation. At least that's the guidance I'm getting now from my grandmother. That's what she's telling me. She just said, live for us. And I think not only do we owe it to ourselves, but we also owe it to them. To make the best of this life. To honor and remember them. Even if you don't know who your family is. Or you say they don't deserve to be remembered. I completely understand that. But you also have ancestrals from the land. You also have your spirit guides. You also have your chosen family that you can honor. It doesn't have to be blood related. Your chosen family is just as much as your blood family. Remember that? So yeah, that is what ancestral work means to me. And these cards, how they support it is by helping me remember them. Even though I don't need the cards to remember them, but the cards will give me hints on who's communicating. The cards will help me and give me ideas on rituals, on placing the card up with the candle and a picture of them. It can be something as small as that, or as big as a full-blown altar ritual, which is another way to honor them. It's another way to remember them. What I'm showing you right now can be, what this looks like right now is a way to make it a ritual. Set out their pictures. Bring out their coffee. This is the coffee I made them this morning. This alone is a ritual. Something as simple as this. With a cup of coffee. Light their incense. Give them their offerings, their candy. And which is what I do. I do have an optional spread that you can use to pull. It's called Roots That Rise. And it's a 6-card spread, and I'll post that on the screen. All 6 prompts. What energy flows through my ancestral line? Number 2 is, what root am I being called to deepen? Number 3, what generational wound is ready to be seen? Number 4, what strength or gift do I inherit? Number 5, how can I live in alignment with ancestral wisdom? And number 6, what legacy am I being asked to leave? I find all of these things to be helpful and can just help bridge that connection with your ancestors, with your family. I do have a small ancestral altar ritual sheet that I will also add on the screen, but here it has the best time. Let me just show you, it's on my iPad here. So it's an ancestral altar ritual sheet, honoring the roots, Samhain or Day of the Dead, new moon or waning moon, on a birthday or death day of an ancestor, anytime you feel the call to connect with your roots. What you'll need is a small cloth or natural surface for grounding the altar, a candle, white, black, or ancestral color. I like to use purple. I like to use orange. Again, it's just the colors of my ancestors. A glass of water for clarity, spirit, and communication. An offering, food, flowers, herbs, coins or incense, coffee. A photo, heirloom, or symbol of your ancestor. Your chosen tarot or oracle deck. Optional, you can use ancestral oil, which I have on their altar. My dear friend made this. It's a Samhain oil. As you can tell and see, I use it pretty often. I'll be making my own actually this week, and I'll be posting it on my Ko-fi shop. Graveyard dirt. Please use care when collecting graveyard dirt. Ask permission. Make sure you know where you're getting it from. Dried or fresh flowers, bells or chimes. And your ritual steps. Cleanse and center. Light your incense. Cleanse the space with smoke, sound, or salt. Take 3 deep breaths and call your energy into the present moment. Create the altar. Lay down the cloth and place each item with intention. Candle in the center for spirit. Water to the left for emotional memory. Offering to the right for gratitude. Ancestral photo or object at the top, which is your presence. And deck at the bottom or nearby for communication. Your invocation. You can say this out loud, you can whisper it, you can say it internally. I open this space in love and remembrance. I welcome my ancestors of blood, of spirit, of soul. May only those who walk in love and protection step forward through this sacred veil. I honor your wisdom, your sacrifice, and your story. I am your continuation, and I walk with care. Light the candle that represents your connection to the ancestral realm. Place the deck on the altar. Ask your ancestors or guides to help you with your reading. You may draw 1 to 3 cards and use the Roots That Rise spread, which I just showed earlier. You can speak or write a message to them. Share something with your ancestors, your gratitude, your pain, your questions. This can be spoken out loud, written, or felt in silence. I do all 3. Not at the same time, but I do all 3. And close the ritual. Thank your ancestors, snuff the candle, never blow it out, and leave the offerings on your altar for a few hours or overnight. Anoint yourself, your third eye, your heart, and your hands before you begin. That's just optional for you. You can play your traditional music. For me, it would be mariachi. You can use different forms of divination. Bones, pendulum, automatic writing, channeling, and the final blessing. May the roots that rise through me be blessed with healing and harmony. May the stories that sleep in my bones awaken to guide me home. So that is the 10-card prompt, the optional spread, as well as a ritual that you can use for your Ancestral Roots VR. So thank you for joining me on this journey into Ancestral Roots. These decks are more than tools. They are memory keepers, spirit vessels, and soul mirrors. Whether you come from a long line of magic or are reclaiming forgotten threads, your connection to your ancestors is sacred and alive. May your path be guided by the whispers of those who walk with you. Please use the tag Ancestral Roots, and feel free to subscribe, like, and tag me, Essence of the Moon, so that I can honor your story and your connection. Thank you for sitting at the table of the ancestors with me. May your deck speak clearly, and may your roots run deep.